Now we are on Facebook as well
Facebook
too.
owns
But he
IG.
was
So
so
what's up?
he was so bold about it. But you know what? I say go be bold, and we gonna roll with it because here we are. So there you go.
What's up, everybody? Whatever platform you're on.
Whatever platform you are on, we're gonna just say what's up to you. Just in case this is your first time with us, we'll dive right on in with a quick intro.
What's up? I'm O.L. Buckley.
And I'm Sway Buckley.
That's right. We are Marriedpreneur Life Strategists.
Yes, and we are the creators or co-creators of the Marriedpreneur operating systems. We help married entrepreneurs to launch, grow, and scale their businesses powerfully, purposefully, and profitably in sync. Amen for that. I hope you all had a great maybe extended weekend as we have given honor and continue to give honor to those who sacrificially give their lives for us here in this country. I know we have people from all over the world, so we're excited about that. With that being said, yesterday, hey, where y'all coming in from? Hey, fam, we're in Jersey, right by NYC. So drop your city, drop your state, drop your country, because you may be from a whole nother country, right? We'd love to hear that as well too. With that being said, this whole week is really interesting. It started off really amazing. Yesterday, for the very first time, we took a helicopter ride.
We sure did. It was an amazing ride.
New Horizons.
Especially since we had never done that before.
Yes.
Helicopter, obviously, very different from an airplane.
Yes.
But no, it was really exciting and exhilarating because as the helicopter was going up and as we were moving around, even before that, the preparation to ride in the helicopter, getting the safety instructions and all of that was, just every moment that was going by, every second, it just became more and more real. We're actually about to get up in this thing and take flight and just be able to go over the city, look over the trees.
New Horizons.
And yeah, it was amazing.
And I'll say this too about New Horizons. Whenever it's time to go into New Horizons, know that new instructions come with New Horizons. And it does get more and more real as you get closer to that new horizon. But the whole point and purpose of it is to grow. And hey, ATL, see you here in the chats. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody too. It's hard to, I can't slide down.
Didn't.
But okay.
Because it would just populate.
Oh, okay, cool. Fabulous. Okay, with that being said, talking about New Horizons, we are upon a brand new month. Of course, we're at the end of May 31st. We don't want to overlook this day, but we also want to prepare for the next. And so if you're new around these parts, what we do and encourage other married entrepreneurs to do every month and quarter, and those who are our clients and work with us, we walk them through this process of doing it even on a daily basis, but in a very concise way. But right now, what we're talking about is our Marriedpreneur monthly meeting, which is our legacy meeting. This legacy meeting, y'all, it is a game changer. And so this is a great time to go ahead and dive into your legacy meeting. If you have never done a Marriedpreneur legacy meeting with your spouse, now I should say this, that it doesn't matter if you are an indiepreneur where you're building individual businesses, or if you're a spousalpreneur where one of you is building the business while the other is supporting the one who's building the business, or if you're a couplepreneur, if you're building the business together, having a Marriedpreneur monthly legacy meeting is key, because guess what? Y'all are building the same legacy together. You're building the same marriage together. So it really is phenomenal in so many levels. And we like to encourage others, whether you are our clients or not, to get your Marriedpreneur legacy meeting on tap. Don't forget it. Don't overlook it. Don't sleep on it, because it is one of the most powerful tools that we've learned over the last 10-ish years as building businesses together, whether we're not even in the same business, because we do have separate businesses, but building our legacy together. And then that has a lot to do with our business, although we do have a business or businesses that we do build together too. So we want to encourage y'all on that.
Yeah, oftentimes Marriedpreneurs don't think of it as something that is critical. So as an example, if you've ever worked for a company before, then you are probably accustomed to having monthly meetings, whether you're going to be discussing sales goals, if there's some new operational things that have changed. And so it's those kinds of practices that are practiced in the business world that oftentimes Marriedpreneurs, because we're married, we may think, well, we don't necessarily need to do that.
Lies.
Or not do it with the same intentionality, the same scheduling and process. But that's just not true, because while we are married, of course, The reality is that we also are building a business. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that we're using those same best practices that any business is going to need if it's going to thrive. We want to incorporate that within how we work together as well.
Yeah. So like, why would we treat it any differently? Right. It's no less important. Actually, it's actually, I would even say more important for us as marriedpreneurs because it's our business that we're building. And so I know sometimes if those of us who've been in corporate can get so tired, like, I don't want to do, but that's not even the same situation because now we're talking about your harvest. We're talking about laboring in your field. We're talking about your legacy. It's a whole different situation when we're talking about building it ourselves. And so with that being said, in the event that you all have never done a Marriedpreneur monthly legacy meeting as you're building your businesses, we have a checklist. If you would like to use our checklist, we sometimes post it. Well, one of them we post anyway, but we have actually a whole free packet. If you want that, let us know in the comments. We will send that to you. Just drop systems, please, in the comments, and we'll get that over to you. Drop it in your DM. So drop systems, please, and we'll get that free Marriedpreneur systems checklist over to you all so you can get started right away. Like, you don't have to wait. It's not even a big, oh my goodness, let me take a whole week to plan it. And it doesn't even have to take a whole lot of time. If you all haven't done an annual legacy meeting, that's really going to be key because the quarterly and the monthly go with that. That helps tremendously. But let's just say you haven't done that and you're like, I didn't even know there was such a thing as an annual legacy meeting, and there is. But if you're just starting, you could actually start and do well with the monthly Marriedpreneur legacy meeting. So we'll send you that checklist. Just let us know. We're happy to do that for you. Also, really what we're diving in this month as we're talking about the Marriedpreneur legacy meeting is how important it is, not just for your marriage, but also for your business, and literally how you can use it to increase and double your clients over the next month or 30 days. So we're going to go over a few things that we've been using and incorporating within our Marriedpreneur legacy meetings, the monthly ones, in hopes that it will help you as well too. Let us know if you have any questions and we'll dive right on it and be out and go on with the rest of our day.
So the monthly meetings are beautiful because they really help with the primary aspect of building the business together, which really starts and sits on the bedrock of the marriage itself. So when we think about the marriage, how things go in the marriage as marriedpreneurs, as you can imagine, would directly impact how things will go in the business.
Right.
And so one of the main keys is that it helps to get us on the same page. It may not feel like, if you've ever worked at a 9-to-5 before or worked for another company, like you have to be on the same page, just because there's so many other factors involved. But when it's the two of you and you two are building this thing together,
listen,
if you're not on the same page, it's more obvious than it is if we were working in a department together, but not really having anything to do with each other, right, outside of work. But when we are married and we're working together, being on the same page is noticeable. So that translates over into how we approach the business and the success of the business and the vitality of it. So it helps us to be on the same page, because one of the things that is really important to men, to husbands in being marriedpreneurs, is that the communication is pleasant. And if the communication is pleasant, it really helps with it just really helps with the culture of building the business and how men really approach it. So being on the same page helps with pleasant communication, and that's just going to make the man that much more engaged in the building process.
So what you're saying is, if we have some couples out here where the husband isn't as engaged as the wife would like, then
check the communication.
Simple, I don't know if you say simple, but that's a simple check or a simple hack would be check the communication. When you say pleasant, meaning what?
Pleasant meaning, so I'll say it by the opposite. Men avoid where there is the potential for confrontation and conflict. Men also avoid where there is, if they perceive that a conversation is going to frustrate or irritate them, then we have the tendency to just not get involved in the conversation at all. I'm not saying that that's good. I'm not saying that that's healthy. I'm just saying that's a reality. And so when we can talk things through, get on the same page, before our day starts up or even the day before, just kind of talk through some things, and we can get to a place of being on the same page, then that's just going to make the communication flow that much more enjoyable. And men love it when, as we're communicating, we feel like we're on the same page. It's really a team concept, and men like that kind of communication.
We got some amens in the comments down here. With
Yeah.
that being said, something else that we were talking about this before going live, and he was like, especially as a man, what it does for me is it helps me to show up.
Yeah, it helps me
Better.
to show up better with the right attitude.
Mhm.
So when people have the right attitude, and you've seen this when, like even if you've ever, seen this like with children, when children have the right attitude, or it's easier for a child to have the right attitude when they're excited. But the reason why they're excited is because they deem that this is going to be fun. Now, that's not to say that everything we do in business is going to meet our definition of fun, because then that would make us like children. We're not children.
I mean, we could be childlike.
We could be, but not childish.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
If you have to have fun in order to show up with the right attitude, that's immature and that's childish. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, how can we best make sure that we're speaking the same language? And that doesn't mean that we agree, but it does mean that we agree as to what the end game is. And we're going to talk through a strategy, talk through an approach. So what's our Monday going to be like? What's our Tuesday going to be like? And what's our Wednesday going to be like? And so on. And when we have that kind of interaction, then we know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I find that as adults, when we can add a measure of predictability, we tend to show up with a better attitude because we kind of know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And if we can control the things we can't control, because there's going to be things we can't, but if we can control the things that we can't control, and we know where the solution is, men in particular, we show up for stuff like that because we feel like we will not be at a disadvantage. If there's a problem, I know where to get the thing to fix it. If there's an issue, I know how we can talk about it to get it done. But it's the stuff we don't know that we're saying, I don't know if I say this right now, or if I, it's that unpredictable nature in communication that men typically involve. And when we don't have that, we show up, we don't necessarily show up with the best attitude.
Yeah, that's real. I can attest to, I know when we first started doing our Marriedpreneur monthly meetings, it was like pulling teeth at first because I think it was also a mindset situation as well too. But then once you got fully on board and now he's leading the meetings, I'm like, thank the Lord. But there had to be a shift.
Well, yeah. So here's the other thing. So I had to see the value in that. Sometimes as men, we don't understand the value, or we don't value communication or define communication value the same way. So for you defined it more so, not only, but more so with frequency.
Yeah.
I defined the quality of our communication with, do I understand the bullet points? If I understand the bullet points, my thought is we don't need to meet as frequent. But your thing is you wanted to make sure that we were clear day by day, week by week, and obviously month by month. I know we're talking about the monthly here. And so you defined it as frequency. I defined it as clear bullet points. We're going to do A, B, and C this month. We don't have to talk again until next month. But that's not always the case, right? Because
that ain't the case,
so
because stuff don't be getting done that way.
We defined it differently.
Yeah, and then I would also say not only defining communication, but also accountability, because it's not just about how you define something as much as it is about understanding how your spouse defines it and understanding how you work together with that. And then, okay, what's the happy medium here when we're talking about building out our legacy? And then we add business, into that. Just as any other business would be treated like a business, you're going to talk more than once a month. And so it's just understanding what that level of accountability is needed and required. So, and it takes time, especially at the beginning, while you're building it out together and while you're understanding each other in this new way, while you're understanding what your own expectations are, so you can then communicate what those expectations are. Because sometimes you may not even be clear about your own expectations in order to communicate your expectations to your spouse as you're working together, that could be even more frustrating, which is why the frequency piece is an extra layer of support and understanding. Yes, he says understanding is a great, in your opinion, plays a major role. Absolutely. Communication is absolutely key. So when it comes to this Marriedpreneur monthly legacy meeting here, that is one of the first ways we're talking about how it really plays as a role to increase clientele. Because if we're not on that same page and that foundation is not clear, there are cracks in our system. There's cracks in our communication. There's cracks in the ability to serve and to market and to grow at the highest level as we're serving our clients.
One of the things that is so important to building business and increasing clients, there is a place for this, and that is called confidence. Yes, we need clarity. Yes, we need systems, and we know that. But we also need confidence. And when we feel like we know what we're talking about, when we go before the market and we can do that confidently, that translates into increased clients. I'll never forget a lesson I learned from another entrepreneur a long time ago, as he was actually training up his daughter in business. And he said, one of the things I want to make sure that she has when she goes into business is confidence, because the know-how without confidence doesn't really serve you well. You could almost have more confidence than know-how, and true. That'll be an edge unto itself.
Oh, absolutely.
And
there's
so
a lot of them out here.
Yeah, and so, right. And so what happens is that when we have that kind of communication where it's high quality and it's clear and it's frequent, so nobody can drift off into, wait, what are we doing again, Land? Then what happens is we go to the market confidently. And that translates into increased clients, because that builds credibility and that actually establishes connection. People are like, oh, they really do have the solution. Oh, they really do have what it is that we need. And when you believe it, they believe it.
Yes, when you have that conviction.
And we have to believe that before we go out there.
This is true. Now, with that being said, the last thing that we'll go over with this for the Marriedpreneur monthly legacy meeting, the other area that is really key to go over is to assess the previous month and to look at, okay, what has been working and what hasn't been working. And gonna keep it real black and white. What has been working, do more of that. What hasn't been working, cut that out. Cut it out and do more of what has been working. And so there are several different ways we can look at that.
Yeah, you have to be deliberate about evaluating that. And that comes through having that monthly meeting where we can talk about, because there's only certain things you're going to realize after the month is in the rear view.
Yeah.
That you're going to be clear on. You're going to be clear every 30 days. You know what? I was doing this that way, but I realized that way is not working for me, or that way is not working for us. But we never get to voice that if we don't sit down and have that monthly meeting. And that, by the way, not having that clear, we carry that over into the next month.
Yeah. And sometimes
that costs us in clients.
You don't even know what's working or what's not if you don't stop and look and evaluate. Because then you just keep going, because life is just coming at you every day. And then you just keep doing the same old, and you don't even realize that you're cutting your efficiency in half, right? You're cutting your level of proficiency and deliverability and impact to the market. You're cutting that all down because you don't even, your sword is not sharp. You don't even realize that you're doing things that aren't working for you. You're just like, they just got to get done. So I'm just going to do them without realizing, stepping back and having that creative mind space to think and to brainstorm together. Okay, this part really is not working for me. This is not really where I'm best suited to do this particular thing over here. I know we started like this like a while ago, but right now where I am, I feel like that's not the best use of my time. I feel like I need to do more so over here and lean in to that area. But that just means we need to talk about the other area.
Yeah, we need to talk about the other area. So two things that we found to be helpful that we check, and that is this. One is time blocking, especially if you are working a 9-to-5 or your spouse is working a 9-to-5 and you're trying to build out this legacy, and the business obviously plays an integral role in that. You want a time block, and time block is so important. Why? Because when we time block, we're dedicating not just time, but we're dedicating energy to this particular area, because this is the best time for me to do X, Y, and Z. So we need to time block rather than try and say, well, I think I got 5 minutes here, and then then I got 5 minutes here. What happens is that we end up being thrown around, tossed around by the business, and that is no fun. The second thing is
reviewing the time blocking.
The second thing is looking at your knowledge base or your level of competence in a particular area.
Yeah.
So when we talk about wealth roles, who's doing what in the business? Am I going to be doing the writing or and content, or are you going to be doing the writing and content? Or are you primarily doing the writing and content and I am contributing, adding to that content? If so, then we're looking at that particular knowledge base. So if there's an understanding that you have in that area of content creation that I don't, let's say, I have ideas, but they're raw, but I don't know really how to put them together in a way that creates effective messaging. Then what happens is that then my competency has to come up, but then that takes time. So like if you're working a 9 to 5, let's just say 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Let me just use a generic 40-hour work week here. If it's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, then my evenings, especially if I'm sitting in traffic or I'm commuting, my evenings are going to be spent by the time I get home. Right? Whatever energy I had after 5 or 6 o'clock is being zapped up in the commute home. So then I have to look at my evenings different in relationship to my weekends. Mm-hmm. So maybe if it's something that I need to raise my knowledge base in, it's better that I work on that off peak, so to speak, hours, some evenings, but then I have more time allocated on the weekends. So I need to work that curve of competency so I can bring myself up to a level of proficiency. And that takes time to do that. But I have to be intentional about doing that. And that means we got to meet and talk about it.
Yeah. Now, those are just some of the tools that we recommend that you take a look at while you all are doing your Marriedpreneur monthly meeting. If you missed the previous post before we went live, our first post before this, we actually put a sample outline, like a checklist of things you all may want to be going over for marriage and then as well as for business. You want to take a look at that, because what that does is give you some clarity. Now, we do have a free packet that has even more with the quarterly and then other things you may want to be knowing as well as marketing map if you're needing assistance with that. All of that totally free. So if you'd like any assistance in that as you all are building, because we understand this path is not something that happens over the weekend and you just grow all of a sudden, right? It's a time and period needed for blending and working together. If you want that, you can just drop systems, please, in the comments, and we'll make sure we get that over to you totally free for you. It is our gift from us to you, that you all would be encouraged in that, and that you all will be growing in that together as well too. So lastly, before we head out, we also are the co-hosts of the Marriedpreneur Live podcast, helping faith-based married entrepreneurs to launch, grow, and scale their businesses purposefully, powerfully, and profitably in sync as well. Totally free, amazing resource that we have for training. And this past week, we launched our first session of the Wifepreneur interviews, which is really going over Proverbs 31 woman and who she is and what that looks like who she looks like in the marketplace today, and what she looks like at home, what she looks like with her children. And I really had the privilege of interviewing one of a amazing woman who she and her husband and her family are building out their path on their $1 billion journey, literally from a God-given idea and a dream that they've been building over the last 10 plus years. So definitely want to encourage you wives and husbands too, because y'all can listen too. But we have something coming up for the husbands really soon. I think this week that's dropping.
Yes.
The husbands huddle.
The husbands huddle conversation about a man building business, his integrity, his family, his life, etc.
Yeah. So it's getting juicy over on marriedpreneurlife.com, or you can take a listen on your favorite podcasting platform.
I'm sorry.
Oh, right.
Can I see something?
Oh, we have systems. Let me make sure.
I got you.
Alex. Oh, and Alex.
Alex asked the question, by the way, are you all Christians? Yes. Without question.
C. SI. Yes. So that's it for us today. We hope that this has been really encouraging to you all. We will plan to leave this replay up. And those of you we have this also playing in our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group for married entrepreneurs. You're welcome to join us over here. We'll be starting some weekly conversations around the different podcast episodes as well too. And that's Marriage Plus Entrepreneurship over in the Facebook land over here. And I think that's it for us today, right?
That's it.
Okay. So until next time, y'all.
Keep living
purposefully,
powerfully,
and profitably
in sync.
All right. Peace out.